So Rick, you said you were going to make some phone calls after that game on Saturday. How's that gone down?
Yeah, I spoke to our general manager, and I know they've spoken with the league at some level, and it's kind of out of our hands at this point. I think that hopefully there's some changes for the better, and it'd be better for the league in general. So ultimately, once we are in a situation like that, we notify the proper people, and you just got to move on. You can't dwell in it. It's after a day. I saw the social media and just kind of figured it was over, and we move on to the next game.
Obviously, you've got to go back there. Do you trust that things might have changed by then?
Well, we'll have plenty of chances to see it, but again, that's a long way off, and I'm not really bothered by it.
Coach, you got any injury updates on Greg and on Musa?
Yeah, both were in training today. I think everybody's available for selection this weekend.
What are you expecting to see from San Diego this weekend, Rick?
I think they're one of, if not the best team in the league. Very, very good. They've added a lot of good players. Landon, must have come into a big pot of money because they used to complain about not being able to buy players, but they've got an amazing roster. Very impressed. The way they play is very attractive. A lot of rotation, a lot of good ball movement. I think they're a little bit more practical in their approach to the game now, so they can get you a couple different ways. This is going to be an extremely difficult game. They're a very, very good team, very organized, with really, really good players.
With them playing tomorrow, what's the main thing you're going to be looking for in that game?
You try to find some weaknesses, see if there's some tendencies. I'm sure that, they'll be smart, understanding that they've got 2 road games in a short period of time, and, it is early in the season, so, we'll look at the tendencies that they've had over the last 2 games. You compare them tonight, and we'll try and get a breakdown before tomorrow night, sorry. And then Thursday morning we'll do our assessment.
This might not be the best week to ask, but obviously the way Vegas played against you guys, do you expect to see that from teams that are, maybe not as strong, whereas San Diego is a team they'll play?
Look, Vegas scored early in the game, and they earned the right to do whatever they want after that. That's part of it, and frankly, we do this too. If we score a goal or 2 early, then we drop off a little bit at times. We're probably one of the more aggressive teams in our approach to the game. So I don't think that their game plan was, hey, let's just sit back and counter. They weren't trying to do that. They had 3 on the goal box before the goal. They were trying to press a little bit, and they were trying to match up. They're very athletic. They've added, I think, Traore and the new kid, the young kid from Cal State, the right back, the Norwegian kid. They're very, very athletic, and they were able to handle our wings. And we just couldn't find any sort of rhythm in the first half. I thought the second half was a lot better. We were able to get more numbers high on their back line and get their team to be very narrow and created opportunities. I think that game probably could have ended 7-6. There was not a lot of defending by either group, and they were just a little more desperate to not get scored on than we were.
Given you're a team that gets a lot of its width from the fullbacks going up, how do you tactically look then to deal with the defensive transition?
Well, we have a box of 4, so without giving everything away, it's not like we just send everyone forward. The first goal, we passed the ball to their team, and it's pretty hard to be in defensive transition when you pass the ball to their forward. The second goal was a goal kick that we didn't win the first ball, and once you don't win the header and it gets flicked on, and they've controlled possession, and then we were a little bit exposed in between the middle. So both goals were our mistakes that they capitalized on. It's not like we're dominating a game and take a shot and it gets blocked and they kill us in a transitional moment. We're probably one of the more aggressive teams in defensive transition. We tackle, like I said, tactically. First person's supposed to stop the ball. Second person is supposed to pick up the nearest short pass. Then there's the back 4 slide across, and we work on that all the time. It's not like it hasn't been addressed. It was just both moments in that particular game. We got caught from our own mistakes. It was more about our possession than anything.
Is there anything differently that you do tactically when you've got Manu out there as opposed to James?
well, you don't have a left-footed left center back, so your passing is a little bit different. But Man is one of the more composed, technical defenders that we have. He actually does a lot for us in possession and the willingness to play into the midfield. They're a little bit different. It's nice to have James because he's left-footed. That's really the bottom line. But at this level, you should be able to play with both feet as a center back, and you should be able to play on both sides. But we design our team a pretty specific way, and I think James and Babu have had a little bit better communication right now. So, but Mani's done a great job. I think he stepped in, and you can't say that any of the goals have really just been his fault. It's a team. We're losing the ball. We're not finishing. We weren't really good in the final third. I think had we been, that game would have been very different.
Coach, you guys are undefeated here at Wild Horse Pass. What do you attribute that to? Is it obviously we saw like a less than stellar pitch over the weekend? Is it the pitch, the fans, comfortability, combination?
Well, the field is fast. It's big, which we can take advantage of because there's a lot of space. It's hard for teams to get really compact. The fans it's like having an extra player, so you have a lot of extra energy, I think, in the last 15 minutes of each half. And then, of course, when you're at home, you sleep in your own bed, you train on your own fields, you get really comfortable, and you go out on the field, and you can really focus on just the match. I think when you travel, everything else comes into play, and we've shown that we have to be better on the road in our focus and our concentration, because at home we're extremely concentrated. So I think that's probably the biggest reason.
If you can kind of look back on the 2 months or whatever it's been since preseason started, what has Babu brought to the squad?
Well, first and foremost, he's a great human being. I mean, he's a good guy. He's great in the locker room. He works extremely hard. He's very difficult on himself. Anytime he makes a mistake or he's out of position, he always is asking to learn and improve. And we have to remember this guy last year was transitioned to a left back for 2 games, and he has never played there in his whole career. So he's really done a great job, and I've been really impressed with what he brings to our team offensively. And he and Santi just still are working on their relationship and figuring out what the rotations look like, and I think that ultimately we'll be in really good shape at the end of the year.
I know transfers are all about connections, who you know and who the players know. What were some of the connections that led you guys to signing Babu, and how did that transfer come to be?
That Babu was easy. It was right after we lost to RGV. I had told the guys on the staff we need to get that kid, so I think I just was waiting for them to be out of the playoffs so that I could figure out who his agent was and make that first phone call. And I knew that RGV had done a lot of one-year contracts and options, and it really just came down to his particular situation. We had to find out about the player before you can talk about any relationship, but he knew that we wanted him here, and I think a lot of times players they're excited about that opportunity to come play here at Phoenix.
What did you see in that game that excited you?
Well, aside from beating 4 people and scoring a goal, he was really good defensively 1v1. I thought he did a great job against Solo for the most part, and when they dropped in, he was very compact and very connected to the back four. But when he got the ball, he didn't lose it either. And we try to force mistakes at fullback positions, and he was very good with the ball.
Had he been on your radar before that game?
A little bit. We knew who he was, but I thought he would end up back in the MLS.
You mentioned about trying to build that relationship between Babu and Santi. What kind of things are you working on to boost that?
Well, every time we train, usually you partner the left side, you right side when you compete. So it's just the way you pick teams. It's the way you do certain specific activities and specific exercises. So they spend a lot of time working together, as well as Ryan and Richie and a lot of different permutations of what could be out there. So, but it just takes time. They've got to keep playing together.
You're about to face now 2 teams that made the playoffs last year after a new team and a team that didn't. What does that change, I guess, from your perspective?
Well, we only care about one game. That's San Diego. And as I said, I think that they've got one of the best rosters in the league. I think they've got, they're one of the best teams. They're going to be extremely difficult to beat. And, we have to be our best selves. And if we don't do anything less than our best performance, then we'll pay for it. And it's just, that's it. It's very simple.
Coach, how important is is it to get 3 points early on? Obviously, San Diego sits at the top with 6, but you guys are only 3 points off. So how important is it just to get a strong start to the season?
Every game is important. I think that's the greatest thing about our sport and about our league in general is that dropping points sometimes are, there's no good time to drop points, and at the beginning of the season to say we're a win and a loss, and there's other teams that are 2-0, you're not too far behind, and you can make up a lot of ground with one win. So early in the season, the points just are magnified. As the season goes on, you get a draw on the road, and maybe you drop 2 points. It's not that big a deal because there's 60-some points out there. But right now, it just looks super, super important because there's only 9 points available. And like I said, each game we play, the goal is to get 3 points. But I think at this point right now, we have to play better. We have to be more competitive. We have to be better in the duels, and we've got to come with the right attitude every game. And I think if we do that, we'll be all right.